grass.
What's the song?
Talking about a 50-50 love. He's looking for 50-50 love. If I can't get 100,
then you
don't give me nothing.
Don't give
No,
me
okay.
I don't know that song.
Okay.
I don't know if y'all know that song.
Okay.
Hey,
What's
how
up,
y'all
fam?
YouTube? How
All
y'all doing? We just chatting a little bit with our TikTok friends. Thank y'all. Welcome. Hey, Sonia, love you. Mwah.
All right, definitely
Thank you
love
so
all
much.
you.
Thank you
Love you. For
joining in, and we're gonna talk a little bit, and that's just
about this
this
relationship
this
stuff,
thing called relationship.
Yeah, boy,
and how life be life and different stuff, right?
Yep.
But it's all good.
It is. Yeah.
It's all good.
right now for us,
40,
going on 40.
Years.
Yeah.
Almost 40
July
years.
be 40 years.
Yeah,
40 years.
Yeah. So
and being together 47. So
47.
Has it been long?
Sometimes I ain't gonna lie.
Well, it's been good.
It's been good.
It's been good.
It's been good. We got
even the bad's been good. You never agree with me on that one.
I mean,
Okay.
Even the bad's been good.
All right. Okay.
That's debatable.
We got you.
Welcome.
Hey, we appreciate you all. Appreciate you all joining us today.
Yes. Let me see. I'm supposed to do something here, but let's see. Is that what I did?
It's mirror. Yeah, we're gonna mirror.
I thought she said do that.
Okay.
And then
Okay. All right.
So
we're good.
Yeah. Well, welcome again for our Thursday dose. Come in the room with us a little bit.
Appreciate you.
And we just want to sit down and sip a little tea.
Right.
Sip a little tea.
What's up,
and
fam?
Talk a little bit about.
Right. What's up, fam?
What's up?
Just keeping it real with Charles and
I'm Melendia.
Yes, he is Melendia.
We are your marriage strategist. What does that mean? We work on strategies. Life comes with dealing with strategies. Marriage, relationships, you got to have some strategies to work on this thing.
And I guess the popular saying you hear now, boots on the ground, because it's like, I'm telling you, sometimes it's like a military situation in marriage. No, military doesn't necessarily mean fighting and bad, because military means sometimes we have to have some strategies, but we're on the same team.
We're on the same team.
We're on the same team, and we got to remember that, because sometimes it's easy to forget that we're on the same team. And you gotta
we be fighting each other.
Yeah, no. That shouldn't be.
Fighting like we are the enemy with each other when it comes to relationships, and we're not, right?
And that's one thing too. I have to say with my Black brothers and sisters that I hope that we can appreciate each other and stop the fighting that we do. And other people see it. Yeah. And trust me, it's not a good look. No. So we want to get on our topic today. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Each other. How about helping out each other?
Yes.
And even when, and this is the platform that we desire as we are coming together, and with let me see. I'm sorry, y'all. With connecting with our YouTube family, with social media family, with people out in the street, we want to be able to be connected with each other.
I want to see you better.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Oh,
right. Seeing part of you, seeing half of you. Yeah, okay, we're good. Okay.
Okay. So wait a minute. Let's see. Get it together here.
Right, we're good.
All
We're good. Okay.
But when it comes to connecting with other people too, that's our goal.
Yes.
Our goal
right.
And our platform here is to be able to connect to, whether you're married, whether you're single, divorced, out here just trying to make it and live life, because it's about love, life, and relationships. And if you look back on our prior podcast, when we talk about what real love is,
yes,
you got to have the foundation. So when we talk about our Thursday dose, we are just a small recap on what we've had, because this is our fourth
week, and we've been on this series. This is the fourth week, and what we've been talking about, the missing key or the missing ingredient when it comes down to building relationships. And most people miss it. It's right in front of our face, but most people miss it because we tend to think, oh, I'm going to find me a boo. I'm going to find me this man, this girl, this, this woman or whatever. That's the way we approach it. But there ought to be some things in place before any of that And if we just do just a quick recap, we talk about the missing ingredient. And like I said, a lot of people miss it. And that is when we're building relationships. Number one, the first thing we got to do, as I told a story about a lady that I worked at a job years ago in my early 20s.
Yeah.
And the lady asked me, was I married? I said, no. And she said, well, are you planning to get married? I said, hopefully, one day. She said, well, if you do, make sure that you put God first. So we're gonna talk about that is the foundation that is missing. Go ahead.
Yeah, and most of the times when we're looking in relationships and we're getting together with somebody, we kind of focus on the person and not on the creator of the person.
Sure.
So in order to be able to contribute something to that relationship, you've got to have that first ingredient, and that is that relationship with Christ.
Yep.
So that was a recap of the first one week that we talked about, and then
the second week we talked about once you get that connection right, the next thing is to ask God to help you love yourself.
Yeah.
Because one thing we do believe in is that in order for me to love somebody else, just like the old saying says, love your neighbor as yourself.
Yeah.
I've got to learn how to love me before I can love my neighbor.
Absolutely.
So in order for me to love me, I have to go to the creator one that created me and say, Lord, help me to love unconditionally. Help me to love in a way that's pure and honest, that upbuilds you. So that's the thing. That was the second
we talk about that self-love. So let's not get that twisted though.
Oh, yeah. It's not about, there is a self-love out there that people talk about.
It's not about self.
Right. I'm gonna pamper me. I'm not saying anything is wrong with it. Please don't get me wrong. But when you make that the priority about you, I'm gonna do it for me, then we definitely miss it. But it's okay to take care of yourself.
Let us know that y'all there. Thank you so much.
It's okay.
Thanks for joining us, for all of you all, Sumbi and Sonia and Jen. Thank y'all so much. And out in the YouTube world, thank y'all so much.
Yes.
So, and then our last week
we talked about loving others. Right. And so, once that connection is made here and you know how to love yourself, then you can extend that love to others. We were only talking about family, friends, co-workers, people, even strangers, even your enemy.
Yeah.
Right. So these are the things. Go ahead.
Yeah. And what kind of set the standard a little bit is to understand when we talk about the self-love and loving others, that don't allow anyone else to validate that for you.
Right.
Don't let, you don't need no committee. You don't need no involvement in any other type of, I would say, community or anything like that in order to know who you are.
Right.
I don't need anybody to validate who I am in order for me to be a part of something.
Because God has already validated you.
Absolutely.
When he made you. Because as we say, we start off, and we're gonna not prolong this. And what we'll say is go back and look at those previous weeks. Yeah. But one thing we did say in that, God has already validated you. He made you in his image, after his likeness. Yeah. So therefore, you are wonderfully made.
Yes.
And you got to know that.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So now today, we want to just kind of fill in one more sector of that in our communication of what we want to continue to talk about. And that's mainly where we're talking about for the married and the unmarried.
Right.
Being able to start that off with most of the time, the married and the unmarried, you have kind of the same characteristics when it comes to your relationships.
Yes. Yeah. Building a godly centered relationship. Right. And that's what we're talking about. So that's been the past 3 weeks and now the fourth week, building a godly centered relationship. Right. So, and we, again, you did mention that this is for the married and the unmarried. So a lot of the things are similar. And then there's also a departure to a degree. So we'll share that today. Yeah. And again, we appreciate you. And
thanks so much for y'all tuning in. Tap, tap, tap on the screen. Thank y'all so much. And y'all hanging in here with us. But first, when we're talking about building a godly centered relationship, what that's supposed to sound like? What does that look like?
Let's ask this question based on that. what does a romantic relationship look like when God is first? When we put God first, what does that look like? Okay, romantic.
Well,
now, what people may think that, wait a minute, he's saying romantic and God? I don't think so. But yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah. If we understand what that means, then you can be right on it.
Right.
You can hit it exactly where it needs to go, and not get misconstrued about what we're talking about. We're talking about some foundational pillars.
Okay, right.
Some certain things that you need to have, and even to be able to have this type of relationship with God, with myself, with others, and being able to devote myself if I'm going to be with a partner.
Sure.
So
right.
What it begins with?
It begins with individual, I would say, work or devotion to God.
Yeah.
Again, just like as we talked from the beginning.
Yeah.
That also, it has to start there.
And
that means nobody else besides you, or that's just you and the Lord.
That's right.
You and him.
Whoa.
Right.
Knock something over.
And let him help you.
Yeah. Sorry about that.
In a way that it does not involve anybody else yet.
Right.
Okay.
So when you have that one-on-one,
that's personal, right?
That one-on-one personal time with God,
sure.
And then having that reflection of, I just don't know what I'm doing. I need help. And I need help to be able to pour myself into someone else
right.
in a godly way, in a respectful way. I'm going to need that. So you need to have that personal devotion.
Right. One-on-one time.
Yeah.
And after we start working on the one-on-one time, then we come together.
Yeah.
As a unity.
As a unit.
A unit, unified devotion. We now, just like she and myself, now we start to pray and do things together like before God.
And see, the thing about the unified devotion, that will give you an opportunity to first to see if this is a deal breaker when you're not married.
Sure. Right.
Because
seeing
where each other is. And that reminds me of a prior podcast we had years ago, that things to know, things to say before I do.
Questions to
ask before you say I do.
Right.
Check that out, because there's some things that we even was like, did we even do that?
Yes,
Did we, So there are some questions.
Right. And we came back later saying questions that we should have asked before we said I do.
Right.
So there were things we found out later.
It was some things, because what happens though, after you say I do, you kind of find a different person.
Oh, well, yeah. You
kind
discover,
of find because
it's
now
like, you find gems. Yeah.
You find precious gems. Yes. Even a toilet.
Yes, sir. Okay.
So, but
that's a good point.
Yeah, but it's not a deal breaker. And and is it worth, fighting for? So if you have that unified devotional time, then you're able to ask each other and, figure out what aspirations or what goals do you have? What do you see in your life? What, how is God connected in your life? So you wouldn't be wasting your time.
Right. And this is going to be awkward, especially for unmarried people, because it's awkward enough in marriages that where people don't pray together and all. So if you're dating somebody and you say, hey, look, do you have any individual time with God? What?
I don't know though.
No, I'm just saying maybe.
Okay.
And then when you say, hey, can we pray together or whatever with this? Now, that might be a little awkward, because I know we have asked even married couples.
Yeah.
Like sometimes we may say, hey, look, do you pray together? And then it may be, no. Well, the thing, and we say, well, let's start now.
Yeah.
Grab that woman, grab that man, and I want you to pray for each other.
Yeah.
Pray for him, pray for her.
Yeah.
And it's awkward, but it becomes a norm after a while.
Right.
Okay. So that's the thing, is we got to get there. And I know it would probably be more, because we know this is not the way the crowd does it.
Right.
But
yeah, but it's not
got to build on the foundation.
Yes.
Yes.
It's not about the
right.
crowd. So,
sure.
If both of you all do these things or add these things into your life in order to know what it looks like in a romantic relationship with Christ, then, well, when God is first, then you have a deeper commitment.
Absolutely. And you can enjoy the, I guess you could say the advantages of
a
pure relationship.
A true relationship.
Right. And that's what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
Not the norm that we hear about or been taught about, and we may have practiced. Not that. We're trying to get away from that, because we know, even with us being honestly and open, we messed up the way we do it. We didn't do it this way. No. But now, but my thing is, even after not doing it this way, we're saying we're real. We didn't have this. So now we want to set the record straight and say, this is the way it ought to be, whether we failed or not. It's not about us.
Our kids too is, I know it's different, especially in this generational time, right? I know there's temptations. I know that life is lifing, and people do things differently. And they even say, well, Mom, Dad, y'all didn't do that. But my thought with that,
sometimes you can't tell your kids what you did, because they're gonna come back and throw it right back at you. But the truth is the truth.
You tell them back.
And you got to be discriminative about things you say.
Right.
Because I tell you,
the thing is, just because I did it then,
right,
that doesn't necessarily mean now that you should do that. Because
absolutely,
what I'm trying to help is prevent you from a lot of the stuff,
right,
that you may have to go through. Now, granted, you're going to experience your own course. You are. But I tell you, if certain things were elaborated to me a little bit more, I probably, you may listen. You know how it is with let's just say you can probably hear it better from your friends.
Oh, yes. Right. I think every parent experiences this. You can tell them all you want all day long. They will not listen to you sometimes. Well, they may hear it. They may not think it's a good idea, but guess what? Buddy and friend will come and say the exact same thing.
They come back and say, Mom, Dad, you know what? You said, no, such and such told me about something. And then you be like, I wonder if you ever heard that before.
Didn't I say that?
But it's all good.
Yeah,
it is all good because we have to have a tribe.
Sure.
And if they are building the same foundation and speaking some of the same thing, it is all good. It doesn't matter where the truth comes from.
Yeah, right. As long as it's true.
So building a spiritual intimacy now is what we want.
Okay, spiritual intimacy.
Wow.
Now, again, it sounds like an oxymoron because you think, wait, spiritual and intimacy, how can the two go together?
Right.
So let me ask you, any couples out there, do you pray for your intimate moments? Do you pray before your intimate moments? I'm just gonna ask the question. Okay. So I'm just asking. So there's nothing wrong with it. And it may seem odd as well. So we're gonna talk about some spiritual intimacy here, just a little bit. Okay. So what did we say? Spiritual intimacy, what does it do? We believe that it helps develop a deep emotional and a spiritual bond.
So we're still talking about the collaboration of
married and unmarried.
So you can still have a spiritual intimacy,
right?
Being unmarried.
Yeah, spiritual intimacy.
By using having a deep emotional and spiritual bond.
Sure, right. With
the Creator,
God,
and
each other with God, because again, the thing is honoring Him with your bond. Okay,
absolutely. Right. So that somebody said, what does it look like? What does that look like when you're unmarried? Dealing with deep emotional spiritual bond or having that spiritual intimacy?
Okay.
What does that look like?
What does it look like?
It looks like honesty. It looks like purity. It looks like, real, I would say, conversations, some real conversations about what my aspirations are. What do I want to do with my life? How do I see Christ in my life? And your values, talking about rights and wrongs, because some people do's and don'ts of what I do and what you do and what we both don't and what we may want to do together, having an understanding. And when we do that, what it also looks like is having to understand whether, do this person pray? Do they even know about prayer?
It has to include prayer.
Yeah.
So the thing about it, and it has to include studying the Word of God. It has to also include worshiping, as a couple, worshiping God. So now that's the spiritual, and it's intimate. That's what it looks like. That's
a personal. Is a personal closeness between you and your partner, and you build that that kind of draws. And we're gonna get into the married part and the unmarried, but it will draw you into, is this what I'm looking for in my mate? Because as I told my daughter years ago, as she gotten older, and it's a point now, you're dating to mate. So I got to see what I'm looking at in this person to see whether or not this is somewhere I want to build a future. Dating to mate, or mate to date.
Well, okay. No. Just listen to your term. So when you say mate, well, you mean you're dating.
I'm dating to marry. I'm dating to mate with this person.
Okay, I think the marriage part sounds right, because when you say mate, it has a sort of connotation, and it has a meaning there. And what does it say?
If I'm starting with the foundation, if I'm starting with the foundation, y'all hear me? If I start with the foundation, hey, Betty, then I know I'm not misconstrued with something else.
Okay, right? I just want to be clear.
So it's got to look. It's got to look transparent to both of y'all.
Okay, transparent.
Right. It's got to look like, I see you. I see what you're about. I see what you want.
Sure.
In both, and we can do this together. I mean, do you want to build a business? Do you want to save this money? Do you want to, how do you want to raise your kids? It looks like somebody say that sounds like a cold shower. Well, it just might be. It just might be.
Whatever keeps it pure for you. That's the thing about it. And we've got to talk. Whatever keeps it pure for you.
And then that is real.
Yes.
Because when you are trying to build a spiritual bond, and it's somebody that you are attracted to.
Sure. Well, we know, temptation would be an existence there.
So that means that's where you got to work on your boundaries, but we'll talk about that.
Exactly. So, definitely the boundaries are the thing. And I mean, that's just it.
So then,
go ahead. We know that God can keep you, okay?
He can.
And the thing about
if you want to be kept.
Yeah. So that's the thing. And like I said, we failed. I have failed, doing that, trying to do this over and over and over. And so at one point, I had to say, Lord, I'm depending on you. It's no more me trying to do this. Every time you try to do it with your own power, you fail every time. But when you depend, because God, He is definitely powerful enough to keep you, to keep me, and everybody else when it comes down to that.
Remember, don't put yourself in compromising positions.
Right. Absolutely. Right. And that's where the boundaries come in there.
So now another thing that this is a combination of married and unmarried, and that we still deal with that to this day, and that's practice empathy.
Okay, empathy, right.
And active listening.
Sure. Okay, empathy, right. So, exactly. Not feeling what the other person feels.
Right.
Sometimes, I mean, actually empathy being feeling what the other person feels. Yeah. And sometimes we don't share that. And then the active listening
with
part.
Us, no, not everybody, because some of us females, we can be hard. And I can get there, but I still have that softness of me, where I want him to listen and hear me and have empathy. I didn't say sympathy. Have empathy about what I'm going through.
Yeah, right.
Because they say men, they're task oriented. They are. Let's take for something very simple. Going shopping. Let's just say I won't go to the mall. we browse.
See ya.
We browse.
That's
we
it in most
take
cases,
a look at this.
right? Yeah. See you when you get back.
Look at this blouse. Look at this, honey. Look at this. They are in and out.
If he goes, that's the thing.
But she wants him to go,
right?
Because she need his money. If she want him to go, to, you know, all I'm saying about that is, whatever.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Then actively listening and having the empathy and, hey, what you think about this? Because I tell you what, if she does go for shopping and she come back home with something he ain't too much feeling, then what?
Well, you know,
then you should have paid.
You have to learn some skills that we still trying to master, and that's conflict resolution.
Right,
okay, all right.
So that active listening,
right?
You know, we did utilize a practice we've heard before, and you know, sometimes we do really good, and sometimes we don't. But in order, because most of the time in communicating with each other or with the others, you want to be heard. You're trying to get your point across.
True.
Tap, tap, tap. You know what I'm talking about. You want to get your point across. You want to be heard. But what grinds me is when we're talking, I'm trying to talk and get my point out, and then you're talking. So you're talking over my talking, or I'm talking over your talking. And what happens? Neither one of us is listening to each other. So that we've eliminated, we obliterated the word. The word. We demolished the word.
You tore it up, in other words.
Of active listening.
Right.
We ain't listening.
Right.
Right. We're not listening. So what we did, what we do sometimes, we can have an object. And as long as I'm holding this object, you know, we got some boundaries and time. As long as I'm holding this object, I'm talking.
Right. You right. You have the floor. More or less. Right.
And then
once you're done, you pass that, and then I have the floor.
Yeah.
And we talk.
So it's a practice for some, but it works for us most of the time.
Yeah, unless like, give me that object. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, all right. Okay. Okay, so here we go. What we need to, and what we're talking about is learning strategies for basically conflict, resolution. Yeah. So that's the thing. A lot of, in most relationships, whether unmarried or married, the thing is when conflict, if and when conflict come up, if you have a method to resolve the issues, that's the thing. And something I've been saying a lot lately is balance and resolution.
Right.
Sometimes we have to balance things out, and we try to come to a resolve. Period. That's life.
Right. So understanding what those strategies are, and then even writing those strategies.
Sure.
Sitting down and talk. So what happens when I do this? And he did this not long ago, and how I respond to it, that it may cause her to react this way. Why does it cause her to react this way? Maybe because of what he did, and vice versa. So having strategy, and we can talk more about that, of understanding how to resolve these conflicts. Sure.
And back on the spiritual intimacy, or still on the spiritual intimacy, one thing we say, who's that mentioned about the cold shower thing? No. Yeah, let's be real. One thing I want to say in that is that whatever you have to do to honor God in your relationship, because we know things can get out of hand pretty fast where God is dishonored. Right. So whatever it takes, and it's not going to be easy, because we're in a point now where there's so much in the media about fleshly things, and people get so worked up. There's a lot of things, and I'm telling you, some of the things we're saying are against where we are today. Right. Because most people, you have sayings that everybody's, involved or doing this, that, and that. We're not talking about that kind of thing. We want to set a difference and a standard we want to put out. Not saying it's easy, but it's definitely possible.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And again, the saying we said that God to keep you if you want to be kept.
If you want to be kept.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So
in
now the purity and the honor we're going to talk about for married people this time. Okay, we just mentioned for the unmarried, and I asked a question there. Do you, when it comes to whether intimacy, do you pray with your spouse? I mean, the thing about it, Lord, there's nothing I don't believe is wrong that if a couple were together to say, Lord, help us during this moment, during our moment here, help us to satisfy each other, period. Just in a nutshell. So, I don't think anything is wrong with that. Right. Matter of fact, I think it ought to be done.
Yeah.
So physical intimacy is reserved for marriage in the way of life. So we say physical intimacy is reserved for marriage.
And I know that's not popular.
It is not. Today. It's not. Right. And it wasn't popular yesterday either.
Right. But if you have, there are some people that maybe have mastered through that. And even if you mastered through it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
If you conquer through that.
Right.
And it's as long as you know your end goal.
Yes.
Because at certain times in life, you ain't got time to fool around.
Sure.
I mean, you get, and then I say, thank you so much. You just don't have time, especially in this shortness of life. You don't have a whole lot of time to fool around. So, if you are you have a prospective mate, most of the time, if you are not looking at what my goal is in this relationship, and because physical, it's going to be there as long as you think it is. Now, that's not. We'll tap on some other things when we dive deeper.
Wait, say that again. What now? Say it again.
We'll tap onto some.
No. About the physical. What now? Let me hear that again.
What I wait.
No, I just want to hear that again. No, just say that again.
I didn't finish it.
Go ahead.
Am I holding my thing up? What I'm saying, it ain't always about physical. It is not always about physical. It may start hot and heavy, and but I'm gonna tell you, when it comes to building a godly relationship, even in a marriage, anyway, you can sit here and look, tap that screen, if you know what I'm talking about. But it ain't all, because see, if you are looking for longevity in a relationship,
sure, right,
you're gonna have to understand that it goes far beyond just the physical.
It does. But,
so
and I think too, especially with younger couples getting married, it is quite a bit, especially for the man. But life has a way. God has a way of creating us differently, and it's gonna balance out. And it's gonna get so unbalanced, I tell you.
Why are you sitting there?
I mean, I'm just sorry. I'm just gonna be. That's just what it is. That's just what it is. Okay. All right. No. Okay. So the physical intimacy is reserved for marriage. And it honors God.
Right.
One scripture, I think it's Hebrew. I think it's 13 chapters, something like that, 8 verse, whatever. It says that marriage is honorable in all, the bed undefiled.
Yeah.
So we want to say that. So and that's what we believe. That's what we say. We believe that.
Absolutely.
Okay. And so with that, sometimes even with that, being married, and if there are issues in the intimate part of your marriage, we'll say this: have enough God and honesty in yourself and in each other to be able to share that with each other. It may hurt because, again, sometimes we may think that we're I'm gonna hold that one. I don't think she wanted me to say it, but no, I'm gonna hold it. Yeah. But sometimes our marriage, our relationship, even our intimacy sometimes needs some anointing oil. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna put it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. So go ahead.
Even if beyond the intimate part, if there's just some neglectful or some hard times in communicating, raising kids, doing something to help this bond in this relationship, in this marriage to flow like it should, you may need some marriage counseling.
Yes. And that's one thing we definitely
may need to sit down for somebody to not have any association.
Right. Unbiased. At least with a spiritual sense of guidance or knowing, at least stand on some biblical principles. Yeah.
And then surround yourself with people that are spiritual minded.
Right.
Couples.
Yeah, other couples, right.
Other couples. And most of the time, y'all are going through some of the same things.
Same issues.
But then there's a limit in some of that conversation.
Sure. And you have to be careful. Yes, definitely. Even sometimes ministers, and if you do, you involve ministers in it. it's best to have if married, husband and wife, because again, we've known when it comes down to flesh, I don't care who your pastor is or bishop or whoever and all this, we know it comes down to that fleshly part of it. Flesh sometimes, goes after flesh, period. Yeah. So what I'm saying,
but just
keep it,
counsel.
yeah, do it, with wisdom. Do it with wisdom, yes. So, too many horror stories in the past. Right?
So, having the ability to commune with others,
right,
is so important, because sometimes we just need to talk.
Mm-hmm.
We need to talk to somebody that may have dealt with some of the same situations.
Sure.
And then the next one is being able to be committed to ongoing growth in spiritual unity. Definitely. This is like education. You never stop learning.
Right, exactly. Yes.
You have to keep figuring out how can use strategies.
How can we get better?
How can we get better?
Right, exactly.
How can we utilize? How can I be an example to my children, or just how can I be a better person? And if it takes taking a course, or if it takes having a sisterhood gathering or something like that.
And even with the brothers, because that's one thing. A lot of times men do not open up like we are to, and that's one of the reasons we die so quickly or leave here so quickly. Right. Okay, so that's the thing. Women tend to open up about how they feel, and they share their intimate thoughts. Men, we gotta get there. Yeah. And that's one thing I want to do at some point. Reach out to the brothers, because in the past that's something God laid on my heart to do, and I want to get back to doing that. And just talking things out and helping each other, even in relationships, whether unmarried or married relationship. Yeah. We need to help.
Going over that, in our purity and honor in marriage, we're talking about physical intimacy reserved for marriage that honors God. Being able to communicate and be vulnerable to talk to someone if you're having some issues. And the thing is, you don't even have to have issues.
Absolutely not.
You can just, and it's the freedom of being able just to relate and talk to someone else.
But you live long enough, you're going to have some issues. Yeah,
definitely. And then commit to that ongoing spiritual growth, and that one never leave this one out. And that's like always have mutual love and respect for each other.
Yes.
Don't can I get an amen on that? Yes. You don't be calling me out when we are out somewhere. You don't be yelling at me out in public.
Ooh.
And I don't be taking my neck some kind of way.
I'm sorry.
You just gotta be.
Well, I think I've done it in the past, but
which one? Which one?
Probably one or two of those. I'm sure you have too.
Neck,
yeah,
or something like that.
Oh, I don't do my neck. No, I don't do that.
You said, let's keep it. Yeah, let's keep that. Yes. Keep that love, mutual respect.
And that's so important. That's so important. And then the thing about it too, with that, you have to have a commitment level in this thing. And regardless of what goes down, I'm committed to my relationship. Yeah. And that's so important. That's so important. You have to even practice that if you're unmarried.
Right. So that's the next step.
That's
the next step, going into purity and honor.
Yes.
In the unmarried.
Sure.
When we're talking about unmarried. And what does that look like? A little different, but
sure.
But yet using some of the same tactics that we just talked about. One is what we say, you have to learn some self-control.
Absolutely. Right. Definitely. Right. And
cold showers. Get some cold showers. Or walk away.
Whatever it takes.
Talk on the phone.
Definitely control your body. In a way, that's holy, honorable, a way that honors God.
Yeah. Right. And you be respectable.
Sure.
To yourself. And if God is looking, and of course he's looking.
And we're in a time now where, let's face it, we're in a time where people are quick to give goods away, to give valuables away. We're there, and we place a lot of times, we place little value on the valuables that God give us, and we just give them away. And the thing, we got to hone that in and bring it out, and basically ask God for strength so you can conduct your vessel as in a holy and honorable manner. Period.
Yeah, because come on, y'all. We all have been living this life, this thing called life, right?
Yeah.
So we know that life for all of us is not guaranteed, and we don't know when.
Right, definitely not.
We don't know when, we don't know how or where. So therefore, have a sense of honor within yourself to say, and I know people are like, I am trying to live my life. I'm trying to get it in because we all gonna leave here. And you're right. But where you want to stand when it comes to judgment.
Yeah, how you want to leave. Right.
What is going to be that dash in the middle? So think about that. It's not always about what your what is it, that quick fix that you think that you can be satisfied with.
Sure.
So when we talked about that, we got to set boundaries.
We talked about setting boundaries. Yeah, still to maintain the purity.
Yeah.
And again, we know this.
And whatever that looks like for you.
Right.
Whatever that looks like for you. If this one gym is not necessarily best for someone else.
Sure.
Somebody might be, it's best if I just talk on the phone, or we can hold hands and we'll be okay. Right. It's just really.
And in some cases, holding hands may not be the thing for you. That may be a boundary you may want to, not do. But it's going to depend on the people, right? Yeah. Absolutely. And your level of faith, And
where you think you're going with this?
Right.
Because, this ain't nothing you're trying to, hang on forever.
Right. Shouldn't be. So, shouldn't be.
Our next step, in the purity and honor in the unmarried, when we talked about even with married, seeking counseling, there's premarital or just relationship.
Sure.
The counseling.
Or mentorship as well. Right.
Yeah. Being able to have some wise counsel.
Sure.
Have somebody talk. Let's talk through this thing.
Right.
So that gem that is needed, and like I say before, always, even in with the unmarried or whatever, you always have to have
mutual respect and love and respect.
And respect. Even if I'm your friend, even we're gonna walk away from this relationship, we're gonna be friends, and I know that can be a little testy, but I think if you are going into this thing with a relationship mindset of I am going to present myself, holy and pure to God, so I can present myself to this man or woman, then I need to think about what's my purpose.
Sure. Right.
So that love, that mutual respect, and having the understanding of why we're doing what we're doing. Right.
Yeah. What's the end game? Period. What's the end game? Are we just playing here? Or are we just buddies? I mean, what is it?
But it has to start somewhere. So looking back on the things to know or go through before you say I do, or while you're dating and things like that. Somebody say it's really hard because it's all around us, and let's not talk about the commercials.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
The commercials, social media. You're so right.
You're right. So many innuendos. It just, and then flat out just plain, right before your
and
face.
then our young, innocent children, what they're being tainted with today.
Yeah, cartoons, it's just so much. It's so much.
It's so interesting. So that's why when it comes to raising, that's a whole nother subject. When it comes to raising our kids and giving them the understanding of what's out here, you really, really going to have to protect the knowledge of children until it's time. Somebody say when. Yeah. At right now, it's like starting at 3 and 4. As long as they have that understanding.
Sure.
So
they're feeding the kids early. So
So
we've got to, feed just as much the pureness of God out there. And like I say, and it may sound corny to a lot of people understanding, but my point is, do we follow the crowd? Or
we set our own path.
Yeah. Don't set your own path. Follow God's path. It's already
I'm
set.
talking about.
I got you.
I'm not gonna.
She know me. She knows she can't say certain things because I'm coming for her. Yeah. No. But anyway, yes, definitely follow God's path.
Yeah.
You can't go wrong because again, we've all tried it our way. And I tell you, in the end, it leads to destruction. So again, build on the foundation that we talk about.
Yeah. So I would love to know. Let me know because we've had some technical difficulties on our YouTube as far as with the comments. So let me know if you can put some comments in the chat. If not, you can go on to the replay. If it's something that you needed to ask, just please put your comments and whatever. And there's comments here. Please feel free. But as we are ending this segment of the commitment with relationships and communications,
the missing keys, yes,
the missing keys and things. Just know that this is an ongoing.
It is. It's ongoing work. It's never ending, really, because these things we refine, and we keep doing. We keep getting better at. So
absolutely. So we want to let you know that we appreciate each and every one of you all.
Sure.
And pretty soon in the next following weeks, we're going to have a special guest and sharing some of the obstacles and things that come out of living this life and walking this journey, or as a single person, as a married person, as a divorced person, as a single with children. So we're going to have pretty soon, and even some couples that have been, like I said, we've been married 40 years. We know some couples that has going on 40.
Not 40 just yet. We got a little time. Let it marinate a little bit. It's coming.
July 21st. And we know of some couples that has been married for, I think the longest that we know of is 7. Is it 7?
75. It'd be 75 this
75 years. And they living life, and life be coming at them too. So it's not a mastered number of years.
No.
But we would like to, have them to come on and share some things to hopefully help you understand. It's not necessarily about the number of years.
Right.
So and people that have been married, 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
So we'd love for you to be on with us so we can discuss that.
Sure.
As we said before.
Absolutely.
We got some women on power that we're going to be talking, just us women, about some things, some things they don't need to be all involved in. And
they'll be talking. No. One thing, we have some things I do want to encourage our men, because that's one thing that I think is very much lacking today, is that brothers, we don't talk enough. We keep it to ourselves. We keep it in. We say, I got that. And then times, like I say, all of a sudden we disappear. So that's one of the things we want to do. Keep that going. Also, we want to share with you that we have our merch coming.
Merch is coming. His cup has disappeared.
Yeah, of course, you did see it early. So definitely.
I will have that information out for you, working on that. And then you can comment. We'll have for you to connect with our website as well. So.
And one thing too, whatever merch that we do sell or that's purchased, what we again, if you know our story, we have a second child was born with a congenital birth condition, and it took us, it really took us through some things, and it's coming up. We do contribute to St. Jude's. We have over the years. We've known someone that definitely. So we want to. If you purchase anything, we want to also donate a portion of the donation will go towards St. Jude's. Yeah.
So know that your gifts and your rewards will not go unnoticed, and that they will be donated to a worthy cause. So thank you all so much.
Connect with us. We appreciate you. We appreciate you definitely.
So we shall be talking with you all another time.
Love you all.
Okay. Do that one. We'll talk to you later.
Yep.
Charles&Melendia got the flow. Bye, fam.
Love you.
Real talk, ain't no need for sure.